This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Mike Whitlow, the COO of ECR Minerals, following further results from the Creswick drilling campaign, with results announced today illustrating widespread mineralisation and some nice grams per tonne shown there as well. 2 metres or 2 times 1 metre, I should say, at sort of circa 8 to 9 grams per tonne there, and of course that 41 grams per tonne from before, Mike. But first of all, how are you doing? Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Great to be back. Yeah, we're doing great.
Good. Well, thank you very much for joining us. It's good. It's good to be talking. I know we can talk on those those grades in a moment. But what I picked up from the RNS there, you say, is what's far more significant than the grades is the extensive broad mineralisation demonstrated in several holes where contiguous gold is present, and it's the first time that ECR have demonstrated that broad-scale quartz gold mineralisation exists in the Creswick area. So why is it so significant that you've been able to demonstrate this more sort of broader or widespread mineralisation?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem that the company and other operators have had is that you've got these sort of narrow vein shoots of gold which are very high in grade. There's often not quite enough of them for them to, to start thinking about developing those assets. So, the issue that the company's encountered historically is we've had, quite a lot of narrow high grade shoots of gold, but we haven't seen this sort of contiguous gold over a broader mineralization, and that's what we're seeing here. We did some work in 2022 here, and the soil sampling campaign that we did then suggested that there was this potential widespread broader body or bodies of mineralization, and the drilling has now confirmed that. So we're thrilled to find out that we've now been able to confirm that to the market, and more so to ourselves. And I think the important thing now is to start thinking about we've got all of this gold near to surface, and there are other operations within Victoria, namely the Ballaston open pit and the Gambia open pit. They produce somewhere between 20,000 and 180,000 ounces of gold. Our gold is very, very close to the surface, and we're hoping that this is the start of the development of potentially taking the asset forward. But we've got an extremely busy sort of field campaign both up in Queensland and in Victoria over the coming months. And of course, there's going to be some follow-up results from this, because we've still got a couple of holes outstanding. There's some frustration at the time it's taken us to get these results, and that's frustrated the market. Can only apologise to them. The laboratory is extremely busy. There's a lot of activity around Victoria, drilling, and the gold scene's really starting to pick up. So, yeah, it's frustrated us as much as it's frustrated the investment community, but we have got a couple of holes to come, and then we've got the bulk sample as well. And if you remember from our results at Davy Road, that kind of improved those quite considerably. Why do we do it? Why is it important? I think some of the samples that people have used historically in companies like ours, they're putting in 25 gram, 10 gram, 50 gram samples. They're very, very small. It doesn't tell you a great deal about what's going on within that system and the geological footprint. And it's our job to be able to try and demonstrate that as best we can with the resources we've got. And we're quite happy with what we're seeing. And I've been looking at the work program over the coming months, and there's a lot of things even now that people just don't seem to pick up on, don't spend a lot of time looking at. I remember back in the old days, the glory days, when people would squirrel away and be doing due diligence around the clock. There just doesn't seem to be that many players at the moment, and that's just due to poor wider market conditions. But I think if people started looking at the results we've got today and what's going on around Victoria, or even start to look at the assets we've got at Queensland, Blue Mountain in particular. I've been spending a bit of time over the coming weeks, so we've not been losing any time while we've been waiting for laboratory results. Some interesting things there. I'll be sharing that with the investment community shortly.
Okay. Well, I mean, you also mentioned, I think you were quoted in the RNS saying that these results point to what the directors believe is significant breakthrough at Creswick, as it was previously understood to be predominated by the sporadic or random course so the random nature of that coarse nuggety gold there. And you now understand Cuboid Hill as a potential to see extensive presence of larger ore bodies. So I wonder if we can talk about that for a moment. Is that the problem when you see these sort of really high grade, standout but nuggety, or gold nuggets effectively, that it is sporadic? It's a little bit difficult to actually prove if there's a commercial resource there, and you want to see it spread over a wider area? Because I also note that you said it compares favourably, these results compare favourably with historical mining operations elsewhere in Victoria. So is this what you really want to see, and more so than the high grades?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would, of course, it would be great for us to be reporting, 80 grams a ton. The company's reported that historically. It would be great to look at some of the figures that perhaps, Southern Cross have put out of 1,000 grams. But, those guys are drilling down half a kilometre. We're down 10, 20 metres, 30 metres. We're right at the surface. So there's distinct differences between the two. And, whilst I'm thrilled for the guys at Southern Cross, I'm thrilled for the guys at Great Pacific. Anybody who's in the region who's doing well, congratulations. Long may that continue, because that attracts attention into, the sort of tiny poor cousin that is ECR Minerals for now. But the drilling that we're conducting is very different. The geology's different as well. And what we've got is all at surface. It's near, the drill's not going a long way before we're encountering gold. And the problem that we've had is, yes, we can find these high-grade samples at Davy Road at the 41 grams. But what was important is we were starting to see contiguous gold there. Davy Road's about 5 miles away from Cuboid Hill, but we were seeing some contiguous gold, and that was highlighted at the time because we thought that was quite important. And of course, the results that we've announced today from Cuboid Hill show an extensive, broader ore bodies and mineralisation. So still a bit to do, but extremely encouraging. And, these are the things that people want to know. When you're spending investors' cash to put it into the ground, where's the next step? Where do we go next with it? And just all too often we see companies, they deliver results and there isn't a next step. We feel that we're able to now be able to put that in our locker as an asset that we can hopefully do some more developmental work on, and be able to sort of improve those results. And like I say, we've got some outstanding results there, and we've got a busy work program and schedule ahead of us. But it's a great start, and we're happy with it.
Good. And I mean, is it too early? Maybe it's not too early to be talking about the commercial prospectivity, because it was indeed in the RNS there where you say you can now see the potential for commercial potential for that 51 meters of mineralized quartz. So it's what you need to see really to get that commercial opportunity.
Look, every operation needs to have a minimum sort of a minimum standard to enter into advancing your asset. And I think we're starting to see the early hallmarks of that. The synergies are very much there for other open pit, near surface, low grade commercial operations. They were operating at 0.7 grams at Ballaston and Nagambi in the 80s and the 90s. When Perseverance operated the Ballaston open pit and then they went up to Fosterville, they were operating, small, low-grade commercial gold mines. Where did they end up? How much gold did they produce? Fosterville sells itself. I don't need to sit here and tell you that they produce about, I think when I looked last, it was something like $400 or $500 million of gold a year. So it's not for me to have to sell that asset. But all of these projects started somewhere, and they started with a potential small scale operation that ramped up. It'd be lovely to, like I say, be able to find these a very broad, wide mineralized high grade super shoot type system. I mean, I'm kind of running with it as I'm talking to you, Mark. But I guess what I'm saying is, it would be fantastic if we could do it, an even better job. But we're a small exploration company who want to be able to move to the next stage, and we've got a bunch of assets that we think are really undervalued, in particular the assets in Queensland. And we think it's our obligation to investors to be able to show them a clear pathway of development, and we've now got that in the early stage at Cuboid Hill. Of course, we have to caveat that we may or may not ever produce any gold at Cuboid Hill. But in order for us to become a producer, in order for us to be able to move the asset to the next stage, we have to at least have what we believe to be the minerals, as you would, to be able to take and develop that asset and move it forward. And we believe it's there. The world's full of, unfortunately, people who want guarantees in life, and we can't give that. We guarantee that we can give is that we're going to give it our absolute best. We work incredibly hard at ECR, as we should do, as should all directors, and we're trying to accelerate the work program both in Victoria and in Queensland. We think investors deserve better, and we hope that this is the start of it. We're absolutely thrilled with this result today. We hope that there'll be a lot more to go alongside that, and eventually, and we're seeing it already, the interest in the company is starting to improve, the liquidity is starting to improve. We have been judged on recent fundraisers. Fortunately, it's a necessary evil. In order for us to de-risk this business and give it as best an opportunity as possible, we need to have some reserves. If we're going to negotiate and sit around the table with anybody and talk turkey, we need to make sure that we've got enough cash in our back pocket that we can't have the cash position of the company, leveraged and used against us. We're in a great spot. We've got a lot going on, and we're thrilled with the news today.
Good. Well, excellent. If I can just ask you a final question, Mike, just to think about what's to come next. You obviously, you've got high grades there. We've seen that. You're proving up that broader mineralisation as demonstrated today. You've mentioned there about getting into small scale operation. I guess that's really the ultimate goal here, get into that small scale operation and then potentially whatever comes after that. The RNS says that the next steps are to dry blow bulk sampling of anomalous and broad mineralisation zones. So what happens next? How would you go and prove this up to get into a potential small-scale operation?
Look, what happens next is we're going to get the next set of results, which will be the bulk samples, and we'll see whether they, improve or, enhance the original set of results. That's what happened at Davy Road. It may well not. We might find that the results from the bulk sampling don't really improve our knowledge at all, or in fact, paint a very slightly different picture. It didn't happen at Davy Road. It was highly encouraging. We think that if we're going to sit around the table and talk turkey, we have to demonstrate that our model of how we test our data is robust, and that's what we're doing now. We're looking at a bunch of different ways to be able to produce results quicker. There are different methods that we can use. So we've got the leach well and the fire assay, but there are other methods too that we're now looking at to see whether we can bring a proportion of results in the future through a different method, which gives us a slightly different twist on the results, but it comes quicker from the laboratory, because we understand that we don't want to be in this position again of having to wait 4 weeks longer than we should have done for these results. But again, this is the downside, I suppose, of activity being ramped up, massively in Victoria since we started to look at this in September of last year. And the results coming out of Victoria are incredibly positive for other operators, including ourselves. So our job is to get the next set of results and then compile that data, analyze it, and share with the investment community what that means. I think what we're seeing with this sort of widespread broad mineralisation now is that's a big step change for the business. I don't want to sit here and start overselling the asset and saying, we're gearing up now. It's too easy to do that. Seeing is believing. We can all talk a good game, but you've got to be able to back it up with results, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep working hard. We're going to keep delivering the news. We're going to keep ramping up our activity, and we hope that the secondary market, and perhaps some of the bigger investment players start to look at us and say, we like what they're doing. It's very different. Nick and I have got a different approach, but the two complement each other, which is why I think the reference of Ant and Decker back at it again.
I haven't heard that reference, but fair enough. A little bit of flag waving maybe as well, Mike, then, as well as potentially getting into small scale operations. You said there about perhaps talking Turkey with some at some point. So is this all about a bit of database building and waving the flag?
This company's had one of the top 3 mining companies in the data room historically. They've been communicating with this company in the past. Okay. So there's no shortage of interest. There was no shortage of interest. We've got, we've had a lot of activity and questions about the accumulated losses, tax losses of the business. We've now advised a third party tax specialist to assist us with that. We believe we can get something from it. We don't want to sit here and start saying, look, we can get you 20% of the $75 million of accumulated tax losses. Somebody put a figure on that to me recently, but I don't think it's fair to go to the market and start massively pushing, the envelope of what we think we can do. It's what we deliver, which is important. Lots of companies spend their entire life speculating on what they may or may not be able to do. We want to try and become a company that is judged by what we deliver, how we deliver it, and the messaging around it. So we're hopeful that we can get something out of that. We've got an asset for sale down at Brewing Lane. We're hopeful we can dispose of it, and we're doing everything we can to enhance our opportunity by seeking planning permission for a 4-bedroom dwelling on a 20-acre plot. What does that do? It boosts our cash position, gives us opportunities. And this is what we've been trying to do since Nick and I joined the business. I've then, been approached and people say, well, you've raised £1 million. What have you done with that? Well, we don't like spending money that much, Mark, which is why, the entire board been getting paid in shares. They believe in the project. They believe in the strategy. We're spending the money that you guys are giving us in the ground. So, yeah, flag waving, we would like to think that people start to notice us. We've had a lot of interest since Nick and I joined the company, and we've kept an open dialogue with, a couple of people moving forward, and different opportunities are starting to, look more interesting. But we're bound by market. We can't sit here and talk about all of the hand holding or the dates or the blowing of the kisses with all the girls. We can't do that. That's not appropriate. What we have to do is we have to deliver on some of these opportunities and share it with the community. And that's what we're doing today with this news. But we've got a very busy drilling program, like I say, both up in Queensland and down at Tambo. So let's get about it and get pushing the company forward.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Mike Whitlow, the COO of ECR Minerals.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks to all your viewers as well. Much appreciated.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.